So you're doing all this planning up front because you don't have time to take wrong turns. You need to make sure that you're killing it the first time so you can get all three teddies and then do the next thing. So how long does an individual book like that, like They Threw Us Away, take, or you just write the whole trilogy straight through?
No, I didn't write it straight through. This question is always more difficult than it sounds because I'm usually working on multiple projects at once. So I will do a draft of Teddy's and then I'll put it down and work on a draft of something else and then come back to Teddy's and then send it to my editor and while I'm working on yet something else. So it's hard to ever know exactly how many months it took to write a book. I don't really know. I think for Teddy's, the first draft, though, was probably somewhere in the 4 months range, something like that. But keep in mind that doesn't count the pre-planning. You know, like I might have been planning this book for a year ahead of time, just sort of taking notes on it. And most of my books, and Teddy's is not any different. I'm sitting on the seeds of ideas for years, sometimes decades, before the pieces come together in my head. So it might take me 4 months to write the first draft, but there could be years before that where I am sort of doing intellectual work on it.
So do you keep like an idea folder, or how do you organize your thoughts while they're in progress?
Yeah, I have a bunch of these. So I have just a bunch of these little notebooks. And I just kind of always have these on me. And I just take notes constantly on a bunch of all sorts of projects, including ones that won't get made and including ones that I probably won't figure out for another 10 years. But the notes are there for when I need them.
So fantastic. So eventually there'll be, the Daniel Kraus library where all those notebooks will be compiled. And
yeah. Well, I mean, my archives have already been acquired by the University of Pittsburgh. So I'm already sending them stuff from my older books, drafts and stuff. So eventually, I mean, I'll be dead because until then I can't get rid of these because they have notes that I use. But someday you can look inside these books. I'll be gone. It'll be very sad.
Oh, I'd rather keep you around writing more books. I'd be fascinated to see the notes, but more books.
Thank you.
So, okay. What does your average writing day look like then?
Yeah, so I write like I work in a factory. Like I wake up, jump into the shower, and immediately go to work. I sit down right here where I'm sitting right now. And I try to put in an 8-hour day, and I work 6 days a week. For many, many years, I worked 7 days a week. And a couple years ago, I decided to try to take off Sundays, and I've gotten better at that. But that has even been a struggle because I'm so used to working, and I love to write. So. It's very easy for me to want to do it 7 days a week. But anyway, so I do it. I generally put in a good 8 hours, 6 days a week, and I don't suffer writer's block or anything like that. And I think part of the reason for that is that I am working continually on multiple projects, so I'm able to jump back and forth, and every project serves as a palate cleanser to the other project. So if I stop a draft on one and I work on another, then when I go back to that first one, it's as if I've really gotten space from it because my mind really wasn't thinking about it. So some people have to put a draft in a drawer for 6 months to achieve distance from it. I feel like I can achieve distance much more quickly because I'm working on multiple things.
And you don't run into issues where obviously with the Teddies, you're not going to confuse that with the Boys and the Alien. But you find that one tone might bleed over from another?
That hasn't been an issue, really. And that's partly because, as I said, I write so many different kinds of books for different audiences. You know, in the last 12 months alone, I wrote a crime novel for adults, science fiction young adult novel, an adult horror novel. Science fiction was young adult, I think I said. Yeah, the adult horror novel, an adult comic book, and a middle grade illustrated novel. So those are normally you wouldn't even be allowed to have 5 projects in a 12-month period because they would compete against each other. But none of these competed against each other because they were all wildly different. And I mean, I promise you, I will not have 5 projects out every year. That was a very unusual year. But it is evidence of writing a wide array of genres for a wide array of audiences, and I think that keeps my mind agile, and it doesn't really allow for much seepage between projects.